back, everybody. This is Peter at Plumbing Express. I'm here with Sammy again, and with Sunbelt Marketing. We're going over a little bit more of our gas products that we use here with TracPipe. We're hitting really some of the accessories today. We've talked a lot about the installation processes and really some of the great qualities that it has. Now I'm talking to some of the accessories that actually make it go in even better or easier than what it would be if we were just using galvanized pipe.
You bet. Well, I just want to just make sure everyone's aware that you can see everything that's available, accessory-wise, pipe and fittings, leak detectant, tools, regulators even, in the TracPipe Counter-Strike product catalog.
Okay, great. Because I know that we're covering a small window of everything that's available. So tell us a little bit about some of these products. I know some of these maybe they might get a little bit more into the commercial side of things, but hey, we do some big houses down here. They look like commercial stuff. So let's talk about this.
Well, this is a manifold that is prefabricated.
Okay.
So in many cases in the past, before these were available, folks would fabricate a manifold. And basically what I'm talking about is when you're running drops off of one particular gas line, and you may be, in this case, going in 4 different directions or parts of a home or a site, you would actually run the pipe off of those manifolds.
Well, and the great thing I can see here too is, I mean, these are iron pipe threads that are on here, so it gives you the flexibility of not just running our track pipe to it, but truthfully we could branch off of here with galvanized as well. Pipe, exactly. So that's great.
Yeah. And instead of having to take, in this case, this would be 4 T's and nipples.
Yeah, that's a lot of extra places for leaks is what I think.
Exactly, as well as the labor and the cost of the product. And then of course, they have it in several different size ranges, where in this particular case it would be a 1-inch to a 3/4 inch type of manifold. So that's one thing, very useful, used many times with regulators and valve shutoffs on each of those different ports.
Right.
So that's the manifolds. Then we have termination plates.
Okay.
So when you're running the CSST, when you're running track pipe to a movable appliance, you need to you don't want to put the track pipe directly onto the movable appliance, because then you're running a risk. It needs to go to a termination.
Being that it's movable, we want it to be locked in some way, shape, or form.
So this is one type of termination plate that you would connect the pipe to as well. This is a different type of plate in that same type of concept. And these two are plates that actually have valves.
They have built-in shutoffs to them already.
Shutoff valves on them as well.
One of the things that looks like it's great about these is, like you said, these have a built-in shutoff right on them. So they're going to be at the wall. So from here, I can go do whatever I want to do. So I can go right to the grill. I can do anything like that. Now, something like that, this being attached to the wall, like you said, that makes it so that it's a rigid point. If something is connected, a movable appliance, now it's no longer just pulling on flexible pipe that's in the wall. Now we actually have it attached to something solid, a stud, maybe even a block or something like that as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And then also the TracPipe offers valve boxes. So gas valve boxes.
Recessed valve boxes are so nice to have.
Right. And it's a fire rated gas.
Well, that's really great.
Box as well. So just another one of those accessories that TracPipe.
Well, and that is a great accessory to have, because we find so often when we're doing custom houses to have, really intricate setups for ranges and fireplaces and stuff like that. Sometimes even the dryer. There's just not enough room to actually have a shutoff valve outside the wall. So having something like that gives us the ability to recess it in the wall at a tub set or second rough-in phase, and then even put the valve in right then. And then what it allows for is when we come to trim out time, we just go ahead and we can flex right off of that, go right to the appliance, and we're in good shape, and not have to fight around with maybe drawers or other things that might be in the way. So we've talked about basically some stuff that's going in the wall a lot of times, or in the ceiling with the manifolds. We talked about how we terminate it, but obviously an important thing, like you brought up in some of our earlier videos, this isn't really a thick product. This isn't like galvanized pipe. This is something that's fairly thin. Right. So I'm thinking, we got to protect it. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's so these are a couple of protection devices. We have our floppy conduit and also our striker plates. So when you're going through a stud, or you're coming off the floor, you're running the pipe through an area that it can be restricted, concealed. So there's 3 different pieces to that, where if it's restricted or concealed and you don't have the flexibility for the pipe to move.
I was going to say, that's one of the key things about the system, though, is because even if you do have this in a wall, but it's able to move back and forth, so you're not strapping it to something.
Right.
if somebody runs a screw or something like that, because of its shape being rounded and having the protection on there of the jacket still, it's still more likely to push it out of the way.
Exactly.
But I see what you're getting at is if I'm at the top plate or coming out of the floor, well, this could move around all at once, but this is locked in.
Right.
So that's where that protection really comes into play.
You would actually put that protection plate
Okay.
coming off the stud when it comes through like that. And the same thing as going above.
Okay.
We do the same thing. Yeah, and in a case where you have it going through a stud like that, you would go basically through both ends of that. So the key is that if you have the ability for it to move back and forth, it doesn't require protection.
Okay.
And if it's concealed, it won't require protection if it's flexible, and also if it's not within 3 inches of a potential puncture.
Gotcha. Okay. So obviously, none of us can protect against somebody just randomly running something in the middle of nowhere. But where there's a stud, some type of fastenable object, so something structural that they're going to be able to attach to.
You want to have enough space to where you don't. And then, of course, these are not your typical stud guards.
No, I was going to say, I picked one of these things up, and I was afraid if I drop into my foot, it might go through my shoe.
Yeah.
So these are some pretty heavy-duty things.
Right.
So
I always like to take them in when I'm doing demonstrations, and you can see that.
Oh, that's some
solid
stuff. Yeah.
You actually, it can withstand a nail being shot from a nail gun into this. It'll
Directly into
bounce
it.
off. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's great.
So it's very, very good for protection in that sense.
Well, I know you brought up the floppy protection. So, I know this is going to be for where we're going through studs and other framing members.
Right.
But what about this? I mean, it's nice because, man, that's really flexible, floppy.
Well,
but where would I use that?
Very similar. If you are coming out of a situation where it's restricted and the pipe is not able to move, so if you were coming, say, out of the bottom of a wall.
Well, what if we were going to use a termination fitting like this? So I'm coming down the wall. Now it's going to be restricted here. Even though it's not a framing member, it's still restricted. Would that be a place to use that?
Yeah, it sure would be, because then you just imagine that pipe being here and you're going up the wall. Well, it's going to need protection because it's not going to be able to move directly from that. So yeah, you would just run the CSST, through the conduit and have it, connected down to the base like that.
Yeah.
So that's how you would use it. So if you're having a situation where you're running horizontal and you don't want to strap the pipe down, but if it has to be strapped down, then running it through a protective galvanized floppy conduit would be the right thing to do.
Okay, great. And I mean, we wouldn't be talking about protection without talking about the silicone tape again.
Yeah.
We've gone over this a couple times, but after hearing you talk about it, I really understand how important this is. It's not just an aesthetic thing. Sure, it does make it look nice. It finishes off, it covers up the stainless steel from being open and not being jacketed. But there's more to it than that.
Right.
It's not just the aesthetic action of it. It's protecting it from different things that are exposed to. Down here in Florida specifically, we're talking about so much salt air. We talked about being able to protect it from, it was chlorines.
Yeah, chlorides, fluorides, ammonia.
There you go.
And, sea salt, salt water.
Yeah, it's definitely got chlorides in there.
Sodium, sodium chloride.
But even too, I'm thinking about, somebody pressure wash their house.
Yeah.
Even just, maybe just any area around there that you're getting cleaned. I mean, they're using a cleaning compound. They're using something to clean your house, clean your car, whatever it might be. If it gets on there and it's not protected, you're looking at causing problems with corrosion, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So, well, Sammy, I really appreciate you. You've covered so much with us over the last couple episodes. And, you've gone from our fittings with our flares and our snaps, the auto snaps and auto flares, to the accessories and including our PS2 that we can run underneath the slab. Really such a great lineup that TracPipe has. It covers so much ability, more so than almost any other company I know of, when it comes to gas piping with a CSST system.
Right.
So, well, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing everybody next time. We're going to talk a little bit more about gas piping. We're going to talk about regulators and stuff like that in our next episode. Hope you guys can be with us. Again, this is Peter at Plumbing Express. Look forward to seeing you next time.